Well, hello there and welcome to your favorite all-women talk show, Sister Sister on City TV. My name is Jessica and I'm really excited to come your way once again. I know people really look forward to the show and I totally appreciate the audience. We're live on DSTV channel 363, GoTV channel 182. We're live on City FM and of course right here on City TV, it's your world. So coming up on the show today, his girlfriend can't seem to cut ties with her ex, and she's her father's baby mama. We deal with these stories shortly. We'll be right back. And you're welcome back to Sister Sister. So there are various ways you can interact with us tonight or today on the show. And let me, itemize them for you. We've got an email. You can send a quick email to jessica@cityfmonline.com. You can send a WhatsApp to 054-998-6996. Or you can like our Facebook page. Now, please take note. Our Facebook page is Sister Sister Live. At Sister Sister LIVE. Like the page, you'll find this logo as our DP. Just like the page, enjoying the really exciting interactions that are happening as we speak. So we'll be looking forward to hearing from you. If you have a question you'd like to throw to the sisters and I, this is the platform to do so. All right, let's say hello to the sisters today. And I've been joined in the studio by Tina. Hi. Hello. Hello. Why are you so excited?
Lately I've been saying hello to my son. Hello. And so that's why I'm excited. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
I like
again.
Your hairstyle. Looks familiar.
Yeah, I stole it from you. you just want everyone to know.
Mine to match yours. But you should have told me. I'd have done the same thing.
No, I didn't want to twin.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I get the memo.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to Olivia as well. Hello, Livy. How you doing today?
Hello. I'm good. I'm fantastic.
Yeah.
Another day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad.
Yeah. We're grateful for life, aren't we? And Rosina will be joining us shortly as well. Okay, she's here. Rosina, say something. Hi, Rosie. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Right. There you are.
Hi.
In your lovely blue top. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing great. Recovering. Hoping I recover real soon.
Yeah. Good. Well, good to see you and thanks for joining us.
I can't wait to hop on a bike.
I know. I'm sure your bike misses you, but we'll have that conversation off air. So let's go right into action. Right into action. I'll start with my first story for the evening. It says, "Hi Jess, I've been in a relationship with this lady for almost a year and I love her so much. I'm preparing officially to introduce her to my family. Now, during our first date, we shared many stories about our past relationships, how we acted foolishly at certain points in our lives, laughed it off. Everything was great until recently when I realized she'd been talking to one of her exes I never knew of. I confronted her about it, but she denied ever being in a relationship with him. She later confessed that it was true and apologized. She claims there's nothing going on between them as we speak. He calls her every day, though, and at odd hours as well. I registered my displeasure to her and advised her to cut any form of communication with him. Now, the problem is, she claims it's a tough decision for her to make and that I should give her some time to address it. Meanwhile, anytime I'm with her, this ex keeps calling. What should I do?" And I see Olivia's face, so let me come to Olivia. Shaking your head. What's going on? What are your thoughts? Where's your head at?
My head is at you see, this thing about exes, okay, my mom had such a terrible experience. I only know so much based on what my mom shared with me and all the advice she gave to me. And this lady doesn't seem to appreciate the fact that you have a problem with her ex. She has a past. You both agreed. I mean, you have that open conversation whereby you both have a past. So it's not like you're even being judgmental or anything of the sort. You're cool. And later on the line, you only found out because she's been constantly chatting with her ex. You see what I mean? So it's made you uncomfortable. The thing is, if she didn't give you a reason to be uncomfortable, you wouldn't be. But she's now giving you that reason, and she doesn't want to even appreciate where you're coming from. My take, simple, I'll cut it short. I wouldn't even blab too much on this, right? If she doesn't respect you enough to respect the fact that you're uncomfortable with her communicating with her ex, you have to be drastic. You know, you're being subtle about how you feel, and she doesn't get it. So let her know it's her ex or it's you, because as far as you're concerned, that's why the person is an ex. Well, whatever it is, it wasn't a terrible breakup. You know, some people are okay with the fact that, it's an ex, but we didn't break up okay. Like, we didn't break up badly, so we can still be friends. But some people in their relationships don't mind. But this is a case whereby you mind in your relationship, and it all boils down to respect. It all boils down to empathy, and it all boils down to love. You know, if you love somebody and they're uncomfortable about something, you appreciate it, and then you stop it. She's hurting you, you're uncomfortable with it, but she doesn't get it. So be drastic about it. Tell her she should choose. It's either she goes back to her ex or she chooses you, and you don't have the time of day to entertain her while she goes off chatting her ex-boyfriend. And this is how beautiful relationships are ruined. I mean, your ex is your ex. It's done. It's dusted. Don't invest your time, energies into a relationship that was done and dusted. I mean, I can understand if maybe once in a while, maybe they call because maybe they're in a tight situation or something. That's not on poor. It's just once in a while. But for you to constantly be entertaining your ex in your current relationship that can be flourishing, for me, it's a no-no. So tell her point blank, she should choose. If she can't choose, massa, sweetheart, leave it, let it go. Find somebody who can appreciate you for you and them for, you for you. And then you can move on. I'll keep it short.
Right. And I think that's pretty much it. But Tina, what do you think? Is there something really awkward about this relationship?
Definitely, there is something wrong. The thing is priorities for the lady. And there's a saying that you don't know what you have until you lose it. And unfortunately for her, she's just driving in a negative situation where she doesn't know that to be in a relationship is to prioritize your partner. If your partner voices that I am not comfortable with a particular situation and what he has voiced out is not unreasonable, then you need to actually pay attention to it, because the relationship is about the two of you. So if you are having to think and process how you are going to disengage with your ex, it's quite heavy.
Shady.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not comfortable with you talking to your ex. Then you say, give me some time to think and process it on how to disengage. I mean, there's none. I mean, so this is what I think you should do. You don't actually have to tell her with your mouth that choose between the two of us and that nonsense. No. Just withdraw. Withdraw gradually and let her feel that you are not present. She will think twice. If she doesn't think twice, then she doesn't really want you. Because for me, like, why would I be sitting around and playing second fiddle to an ex? Meanwhile, I'm the present. I'm not the past. I'm the present. And so, gentlemen, there's something really fishy about what's going on. Don't let things go on the way they are. Address it. And by addressing it, disengage gradually and see how she will react. If she doesn't come back, if she doesn't come back doing the right things, then it means,
Rosina. What do you think?
You know, this topic of exes, it gets under my skin anytime I hear it. You see, I'm not saying that once you are in another relationship, anybody you've dated should be an enemy. No. But you managed to have a man, or you were dating, and I think he was very open. Both of you spoke about people in your lives, XYZ, XYZ. Now, there's a reason why you excluded this one in the list that you mentioned. It's because subconsciously the lady knew that this one could cause a problem if he knew. Because if he knows, as soon as the guy calls, she knows that it will be a problem. So which means that she knows that there's everything wrong with what is going on. That's the first strike for me. Now, the second strike is that when you have an ex who doesn't respect your current relationship, is a problem. For instance, you can have an ex, both of you broke up on mutual grounds, both of you are still friendly, both of you still talk. It's okay. But it's very important to respect the boundaries of your ex-partner's new relationship. That is if you honestly, truly care about her. So, for instance, I don't expect an ex that I'm cool with or that I'm okay with to decide to call me, let's say, 10 p.m. when he knows very well that I'm probably with my boyfriend or I'm with my husband. I don't expect you to do something like that. If you did that, it must be for an emergency or something that couldn't wait. But the moment you do that consistently, it means that you are disrespecting whoever I'm with.
Right.
And I'm aiding you to also disrespect whoever I'm with. And you don't care. You see, and that level of disrespect is what is eating me on the second level. Now, on the third level, there's a reason why this guy is your ex. I know that there are some friendships that when you form them, and let's say you started dating and you realize that, no, this is not for us, and then you decide to go back to being friendships, go back to being friends, there are some people who are mature enough to move from being couples to friendships with ease. Both of them understand what is going on. The breakup was mutual, it was okay. However, once you're in a new relationship and you want that relationship to work, you need to give that relationship, like Tina said, priority over whatever was. Because if that was good enough, there wouldn't have been an is without that was. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So my whole agenda is that, look, you have a new boyfriend. Luckily for me, for a whole year, you guys have discussed about your past lives, who you've been with. He hasn't judged you or probably brought up any of them in any discussion, only for him to realize that there's this one that was hiding somewhere. He's not comfortable with it. The best thing you should do is quit.
Right.
Stop communication with this person. How important is this ex to you over your current boyfriend? You see, if you had mentioned him to your ex-boyfriend and managed to if you had mentioned him to your current boyfriend and told him that after this particular ex, Charlie, can you imagine? As soon as we all started, we all knew it was a mistake. We broke up on common grounds, and since then, we've remained very good friends. From time to time, he calls me, and I also call him. It won't come as a shock to him,
right?
Because once you have told him, then there is no reason to, explain anything to him again. But because you concealed it, he had to find out, and now you are telling him that it will be a difficult decision to make, and that he should give you time. If I were a man, my assumption would be, hold on, do you still have any relations with him? Like, what's going on? What's the agenda? What's the plan? That's how my reaction is going to be. So for me, 1 year is not too long. Like I keep saying, it's easier to mess up 1 year than to mess up a lifetime. A woman during dating phase who cannot stop talking to her ex and concentrate on building a healthy relationship with you, no matter I'm sorry, this is not a relationship you should even gamble with. Personally, I wouldn't gamble with such a relationship. I wouldn't.
Right.
Because it will end up biting you hard.
I agree.
That's what I think.
I agree. I mean, and you ladies couldn't have said it better. I mean, for me, what's such a tough decision about breaking communication with your ex, then go to your ex. This is really not that deep. Just go and be with that ex, because it looks like if you have to think about it, massa. So, dear lady, that's all I have to say to you. Let me bring in a couple of comments we've received. This one says, it's from Michael. Says, she isn't certain whether to stick with you or return to her ex. I doubt your so-called lover's loyalty. Loveland says, just leave her if she can't stop communicating with the ex, potential cheater in future. Cheater, you mean cheat. But yeah, be warned, red flags, don't ignore it. Simon says it will end in tears for the guy. Masa, stop the fooling and leave the relationship. Patrick says, thank God you haven't introduced her to your family yet. This is a sign that there's something still pending. She had all the time to get rid of him before meeting you. Why need some time again? She'll cheat on you if she doesn't discipline herself. Echo from the past. Philip says, if she can't cut communication, then cut her off rather. You will be there and boom, she'll run back to the ex and start doing things. At what point does the ex come into the new relationship? We don't go back to an ex. Hell no. Gloria says, next time you're with her and he calls, just leave her and tell her until she decides you're not coming back. Gail says, well, relationships are about trust, and she's not doing a good job by earning your trust. I think you should back off a little and let her decide what she wants to do, whether she wants to be with you. At least she's being honest, and it's a tough decision to break off communication with this ex. Leave her to make her own choice. Ceci says, you registered your displeasure and asked her to cut ties, and she's in a dilemma? I find it hard to believe you have no idea what to do. The truth is staring you right in the face, bruh. Do the logical thing before you bruise your heart beyond repairs. And these are a couple of your messages. More messages are welcome on 054-998-6996. It's Sister on City TV, also on City FM. We'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, I have yet another email.
There are those with untold stories, unraveled feats, life-changing stories, and lasting legacies. They tell their stories themselves right here on Footprints.
So we go to someone who were put in our various cells, and then someone you have it's a huge prison, and then it was then that it dawned on me that I was really in big trouble.
Do you think that the overthrow of Liman was justified?
I think that with hindsight, there was no justification.
Be inspired by their hard work and resilience that led to those outstanding achievements as we trace their footsteps through the capsule of time.
Because of my upbringing, my mother, my father, they are, Christianity.
Yeah.
So because of that,
strong hands at home.
Even though I'm the guy smoking, doing all kinds of that, I've never tried.
You've never tried?
No, never tried weed or anything. Nothing.
You've never tried weed?
Even drinking, alcohol, no.
Why should you people put everything, Kwame. Everything was done before Nkrumah arrived in the country.
No, aho ni leba ye.
Aho leba ye.
So join me, Samuel Atamensa, and my guests every Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on City TV.
Footprint is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
Welcome back, Sister, City TV and City FM. So we're going to go into our next email, and here it is.
Yes. My situation breaks my heart so much. I wish I could just end it all. I've been married for the past 3 years with 2 kids. My husband is what I would call every woman's dream man. The issue is that I am not faithful to him. My father first raped me when I was 15 years old. This act went on for some time, but truth be told, I was very naive and didn't know what he was doing was abominable. My mother caught him in the act one night and gave me the beatings of my life. She called me all sorts of names, like witch, temptress, and also accused me of trying to destroy her marriage. 3 days later, she shipped me off to a prayer camp for exorcism. After 4 months of staying at the camp, I was told to go and stay with my aunt in the Ashanti region. 5 years later, I returned home to find out that my mother was very ill. She passed on not long after. Even though some years had elapsed, I blamed myself for her death and promised to stay away from my father. Unfortunately, I couldn't resist returning to my father's bed. Our bond grew stronger. Fast forward, my husband admires how close my dad and I are and attributes it to the fact that I'm an only child. Sisters, my husband thinks my 2 kids are his, but I'm ashamed to say that they are my father's children. The children look like my dad, but because I look like my dad also, no one suspects foul play. My affair with my father ended my past relationships because I was never sexually satisfied with my ex-boyfriends. I can't do this anymore. I know I need serious counseling. I'm at my wit's end. I don't want to lose my husband. Please help me because I feel like an outcast.
Whew. Well, that's deep. Yeah, so who wants to go first? Rosina, can I come to you on this one? I don't know.
I don't know what to say. It's very difficult, and like she rightly said, she knows she needs counseling. I think this is probably beyond us. You can't blame her very much. Sometimes the things that we learn when we are kids, sometimes we feel like it's okay, it's normal, it's perfectly fine. It takes communication with other people when you grow up a little to realize that, oh, hold on, wait a minute, there was everything wrong with that. But then you can't even openly tell anybody that this is what was going on. And it becomes extremely difficult to address the issue because there's stigma, there's people judging you, people insulting you, people, doing all kinds of things to you. So it's a bit difficult. But all I'll suggest is that you need to see a professional psychologist who they need to take you back to re-engineer your thinking, to re-engineer everything. And as for you and your husband, I don't know. Maybe you need to get another professional counselor who would also take him through some series of counseling. But in the process, you should know that the marriage is probably done. You could still be saved if the man is somebody who would take his time to listen to the condition, how it started, and what she's been through. But other than that, she probably needs to just see a professional psychologist. That's what I think.
Right. So, in the first instance, it was obvious that she was ignorant. That's before her mom jumped in, shipped her off to a prayer camp. But it looks like the second time she willingly went back to her father's bed. And that's what I can't sort of grasp.
Okay.
How do you want to tackle this?
Well, I can understand. And the reason why I'll say I can understand is because when you're dealing with a situation, you need to take yourself out of the environment that is toxic. If you return to the same circumstance, the same environment, it triggers things that's where there. So I have family that are into. I have a brother who is into advice, and anytime we take him to rehab and brought him back home to the same environment, in less than weeks, he gets back into the same habits. Because guess what? The same friends are there. The same people who sell the drugs are there. Right. Like all the conditions that made him do what he did are still available, there.
Still there, yeah.
So what have we changed?
Interesting.
So I feel that, yes, the woman, her mother, did not tackle it well when she was young. She found out, she blamed her, she whatever, took her for exorcism, and then took her out. I think the only good part was that she relocated from that environment where her father wasn't
part of the picture.
Now, she coming back to the house, minus a mother. The mother who would have known that there's a probability of the father and the daughter coming together. There was no mother this time. So now this time is free range. They are able to do what they want to do. Or it triggers that whole feeling again. So I feel that, yes, she needs counseling. Yes, she needs some sort of help. But she needs to get out of that environment. She needs to take herself out of that whole place. Because her husband doesn't know that this is what's going on.
Right. I don't get the sense that she's still living with her dad, though. You know, she's married. She's moved off. Probably goes back to the house to visit her dad and that kind of thing.
Yes, but so she's saying that she's very close to her dad because of what they are into.
Right.
But her husband misconstrues that to be that, like,
yeah.
But whatever it is, you need to cut it off. You know, I think the Bible, I think the Bible says that if your left hand is worrying you cut it off.
Yep.
And I think it was just a figure of speech to say that if something is the matter, disassociate yourself from that, and that is what will actually flee. It even says flee from any youthful lust and all that, from evil.
Right.
So I think that you should find a way to cut ties with your father. That is the first thing. If you're able to do that, that is your way to liberation. You still need the counseling, you still need that, but you need to cut ties with the man. Unfortunately, you can't. He's your father. Now he's your baby daddy. And so,
two children. Not
in
even
terms
one.
of physically, being in touch, you should cut it all off. Then we get counseling. Then you'd be advised whether to even sit down and tell your husband what has happened. So it's different layers of conversation, but cut the ties first. That is your first road to recovery.
All right, Olivia. Tina says to cut the ties first. That's the first road to recovery. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree 110%. I agree with Tina. I mean, young lady, first and foremost, I would like to, I don't know, but say I'm so sorry that your innocence was taken away from you the way in which it was taken. And I can totally understand to some extent why you will idolize your father and still continue the things that you're doing with him. I mean, I can imagine, it doesn't say how old you were, but completely, I mean, your father did take advantage of you and he was not supposed to. And this whole thing is a psychological process. In the beginning, how he handled it, raping you, just taking you through it psychologically. I'm sure he was talking to you saying, don't mind your mom. And unfortunately, mom also didn't come through for you. So, I mean, he's your father. You've lived with him all your life. You don't know any better. Okay, and he's made you accept and think that it's what he did to you was normal. So, and you know what they say about sexual ties, like sexual relations, they sort of get you all sometimes twisted up in the mind, and you're connected with people sexually in a way in which that you don't even know. And it can mess you up. And I can tell that you need a lot of help. I mean, for you to go and even try relationships along the line, and then you still come back to your father because people you've been in relationships with over time haven't been able to satisfy you intimately, and you end up going back to your father, and he's taking away so much from you. The thing is, right now, it is what it is. Unfortunately, you've gotten a man involved, you got married to him, and we didn't know, or you didn't even mention whether he satisfied you intimately, because there must have been something for you to agree on to even marry him. Because if you are able to leave your exes and marry this one, I'm not sure. But all I know is that your father is the worst thing that happened to you. And I want you to ask yourself this question. What do you want? As a young woman, what do you want for yourself? Do you want to leave? Do you want to stop this thing that you have going on with your father? You need to answer that question so that you stop going back. And just like Tina was saying, you need to cut all ties with him. So I believe if you ask yourself that question, what kind of future do you want for yourself? What do you want to see things turned around? I don't think even being married to your husband at this point is the best thing, because however you want to look at it, you've had children, not one, 2 children with your father, and your husband doesn't know. These kids, are they even your siblings? Like I don't even know what to call it right now. I spoke to a doctor to find out whether it was even genetically possible, and he explained to me that, in certain cases, you have children coming out being abnormal. And in certain cases, you can't have children who are normal. But this is all the doing of your father. So as much as possible, please, disconnect from your father, disconnect from the environment in which you are in. I know it's probably not easy, but you need to have an orientation, like you need psychological help, just like my sisters have said. But the thing is about you, in your heart, what do you want? Because you need to completely disengage from your father. Do not go into any form of communication with him. At some point in time, I'm sorry, your husband will know that the kids aren't his. And what do you do? Okay, my dear, you can't continue to live a life, and your father can't continue to take advantage of you. You can start little steps at a time. Disengage from your father, try and get psychological help, and do the things that you can around you that you actually have control over, which is your life, okay? And take it one day at a time. And like I always say, pray on it, okay? I don't go into these churches that, they are doing all sorts of things. I believe God is in our hearts. And when you have a sincere moment with God and you pray on it, things will change. This is my belief. You could try that. Maybe it will work for you. But by all means, get out of that situation. Get yourself away from your father as much as possible. Your father doesn't love you. He wants you to think that he loves you, but he doesn't love you. Real fathers don't do that to their children. So please get psychological help and get out of that situation as soon as possible.
Yeah, story is really, really sad. I mean, the question I'm asking myself is, what kind of father does that? Why would you look at your own daughter and lust after her? I'm curious to know, and I'm just guessing that, like, why did her mom stay in the relationship after that happened? Like, because at least you should be concerned on some kind of level. Your husband just slept with your daughter. How do you stay with such a man? But let's just say it's all, water under a bridge. You just said in this email you sent that you can't do this anymore. And you can't do this. You can't live like this. Like Olivia's saying, the universe will conspire such that one day, some way, somehow, a DNA test or something will have to be done on the kids. And if you don't tell your husband, he will find out that way. And it will be not just embarrassing, like, for you at home, like, this time it's going to be public, because now everybody, including those who did the test, will know that the children aren't his. Definitely dissociate. Definitely tell your husband, but find an appropriate time to do that. Okay? especially after you've sorted yourself out and you know that, you're completely cut away from your father. And then you can take it from there. Let me bring in some messages. Posh says, you can't have your cake and eat it. If you are really repentant, then you should be ready to face the consequences of your actions. Confess and set everyone free. Then move away. Give your husband a chance to start all over. Han says, the solution to your problem is for you and your family to relocate far from your father, so far that he won't be able to trace you. As for your husband, it's better he doesn't know about any of this, because it will only make him distrust you, and eventually his love for you will diminish. After all, the harm has already been caused. Thereafter, make a resolution to put your past behind you and commence a whole new life. Good luck. Sammy says, I believe this is abominable, but you can be safe. Just confess to your pastor for God's intervention, then confess to your husband. After that, give your life to Christ Jesus. After everything, your sins will be forgiven on earth and in heaven. Sammy says, Stella says, my sister, you first have to decide to stop this devilish act before third parties come into the picture. You need to decide to quit and start a new life with your husband before you bring in activities to curb the act. Don't feel bad for yourself because the harm has already been done. Have a positive mindset at working at yourself or on yourself. Justice says the devil is living right within you, not outside your soul. Just take a quiet time, think through and reflect on what your father is giving you that you can't get from your husband. How will your children feel knowing their grandfather is their dad? What will be the reaction of your innocent husband if he gets to know the truth? Please advise yourself before it's too late for your innocent husband and kids. And finally, Akosia says, you need serious deliverance from this bad spirit of lust for your father. Your father knows what he is doing is bad, but I just don't know why he's luring you into it. Please stay away from your dad, relocate with your family, and pray for forgiveness. Oh, wait, there's one more here. Enoch says, that unlawful appetite for your father can be quenched by fasting and prayer. Don't go to any person. Pray for yourself. 14 days or 21 days fasting and prayer. May God be with you. We'll go for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Let's take you on a journey of discovery. The incredible sights, artifacts, music, and adventure. It is what makes life worth living. Our history, the arts, and soul. Art and Soul with Melissa Awad. Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Only on City TV.
Art and soul, art, soul, art and soul, art, yeah, soul, art and soul. Art, soul, art and soul.
Welcome back, Sister on City TV and 97.3 City FM. Your comments are welcome. That previous story was a bit heavy, 054-998-6996. Let's hear your thoughts on it and any of the other stories you may have heard today. Let's go into a message from Bedu. Now it says, I've been married for almost 4 years and my wife lives in the States. She came down for our marriage ceremony and left 11 days after. A year on, she came back to spend 21 days because we're trying for a baby, but we were unsuccessful. In our third year, I made arrangements for her to come down so we could celebrate our anniversary and spend some quality time together. In the second month of her stay, her mom calls us for a meeting with a pastor who claims to have seen something regarding us in childbearing. The pastor said my aunt wants me to marry her daughter, so he will pray for us and give us herbal medicine. But I refused the medication. My wife and mom tried to convince me to accept it, but I was adamant. One day, My wife said she was meeting a friend in town. Unknown to me, she and her mom were going to get the medicine from the pastor. I found out when I got home from work. My wife took it all, but it produced no results. A month later, my mother-in-law called another meeting with a different pastor who wanted us to bathe water infused with some leaves. This time I agreed out of respect for my mother-in-law. This venture also amounted to nothing. Last year, I had a chance to join my wife in the States, and by the grace of God, we've had our first child. We agreed to bring my mother-in-law over to help care for the baby, since it's our first time. We didn't like the idea of a nanny. The moment she arrived, everything changed between us. They spoke their native language, which is Ewe, which I don't understand, even in my presence. They make decisions without involving me. I don't eat certain foods, but they cook these particular foods and eat together. My wife and I used to eat together, by the way. She easily gets offended when I say something about her mother, which she doesn't agree with. I'm totally out of the equation now. She only talks to me when she needs to ask a question or tell me my meal is ready. Jess, I'm hurting every day, and to be honest, I hate my mother-in-law now. What should I do? This is a classic mother-in-law situation. Tina says we should sake it.
Yeah, just sake it.
Dabio.
Yeah. Go back to Ghana. What are you doing here? See.
But see, if his wife doesn't agree, he can't just sack it like that. And
unfortunately, where the relationship has gotten to, she won't agree because she is actually one with her mother.
Right.
You see, and from all indications, she's a mommy's girl. You understand? When she came to Ghana, when you were trying for babies, whatever her mom will say, she will follow. They will go and get concoctions and everything. They are very close. There's one thing I say, okay? In as much as it's very, very important to get help when you have a first child, if you can't do without, do without it.
Like go alone?
Go hardcore and try and do it with your spouse. And if you get help, get a nanny. Family sometimes living with you in the early stages of your marriage is a problem because sometimes you haven't found your rhythm as a couple.
Right.
So you're not sure of things. Now, when you find your rhythm as a couple and you're stable, anybody can come into your home, but you know what you mean when you say, oh, get out. It's not offensive.
Right.
You know what you mean when you say, come for your food. Somebody can come and say, why are you telling your wife to pick your food? Oh, You've already found your rhythm. But if you haven't, and it's still in early stages where you're still adjusting to each other, and you don't even know whose temperament is where and all that, it's quite difficult.
Right.
So I think you find yourself in that stage where even though you're about 4 or 5 years into the marriage, you haven't lived together for very long because she's been here, she's moved back to America, she's come back. You haven't stayed together to find that. So now that you have your first child and you're together, not long after, your mother-in-law has joined. So for me, like I said in the beginning, sake. But the sucking here has to be very, very structural. Who is taking care of the bills so far? Who is doing what? If it's the woman, then we're in trouble. Find an excuse. Say something. Because right now, if you say that, what excuse are you going to use actually? What will you say? Will you say that you're uncomfortable with what's happening? So your wife will say, and so what? Because now she's not even having a conversation with you.
Right.
So I think that it's a difficult one. But you can only state your case. And let her know how it's affecting the marriage. If she really wants it, she's married to you. She's not married to her mother. If anything, the two of you should be one, and your mother should be the third party. So if she actually wants her mother, that's not the way you should go. But you should put it in a polite way that you actually feel your marriage is suffocating and it's suffering, and you need to have your wife back and live the life of husband and wife than mother and daughter against, you. So have a conversation with your wife, not with your mother-in-law, with your wife. And if you reason with her once, twice, thrice, and you are doing it in the proper way, she will send the right message across to the mother. And then you can take it from there.
And if she wants to go with her mother?
Then when she can go, then you know that, Charlie. Nobody for second.
No, these in-law conversations or interactions can be very tricky sometimes because you need to approach with tact. Let me bring in Rosina. Tell us about I don't know, how difficult is it, in a situation like this with an in-law who seems to be intruding in your space and dictating the pace of your marriage?
So the thing is that there are so many red flags that were in the course of the story, but I don't know why the man did not see them as red flags. You see, when couples get married, like I keep saying, yes, in Africa, two families getting married, but the moment the two people get married, these extended family, they need to step back small for the couple to work out their lives together, and then, like Tina said, get into a state of equilibrium where they understand what this marriage is about. They would have made mistakes. They would have come back together, apologized. All these things would have happened. So a time is going to come when things happen and you almost expect what a reaction should be or is going to be. And both of you learn to understand, okay, fine, this partner doesn't like it. However, he can stomach it. But there are these things that that one day, no, gray area. Now, when it comes to childlessness, you need to be intimate consistently for a certain period of time before you can say you're having problems having a child. So you are married, first and foremost, you are living apart. So she comes 11 days, she's gone. She comes back 21 days, she's gone. That level of stress, the traveling, coming back and forth, and then, trying to have a baby under duress, all those things do not aid in fertility or getting pregnant. And this thing where the mother decides to offer a solution, even when you were not okay with it, your wife, and then your mother run along together to try and, still do the same thing that they said you shouldn't do. And then they did it and you found out it didn't work. And then the next time around, you said, okay, fine, let me follow them out of respect. You see, we have respect and we have that level of respect that you also need to earn as a man when you're married to your wife. I don't know whether it's coming out right. What I'm trying to say is that you need to be in charge of your home.
Right.
I'm not saying that once you are married, close your ears to every counsel or anything, no. But whatever decision that is going to affect both of you, it's important that you and your wife must be able to sit down and communicate and hit an equilibrium. Now, all this said, you realize that as soon as you traveled and you went to join your wife, it didn't take long. She's pregnant and you have children. So which means that there was never really a problem.
Right.
Now, if you have this woman who has constantly brought issues between you and your wife, has constantly had her way with your wife, whether you agree or not, whether you want it or not, my take is that when it comes to somebody to take care of your children, why would you want to opt and agree for this same mother-in-law to move from Ghana to come all the way to Abrochiri to now come and stay with you? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
If I were him, I wouldn't have even entertained the mother-in-law coming in the first place. Like Tina said, sometimes when you have children, like in my case, for instance, initially Google told me that, maybe you can do this, you can. So initially I had wanted to take care of Dante myself, me and my husband, to see how we can switch. But then again, I'm a corporate working person, so it won't be possible. My mother is alive. My husband's mother is alive. But there's a reason why you go for a nanny. And for me, that's my personality. That is even not my family member.
Right.
The reason being, you see, when it comes to mother-in-laws, there is that respect you need to give to your mother-in-law. There's that reverence you need to give to your mother-in-law. There's also that relationship between your spouse and her mother or his mother. So it's a very difficult line to tread on. The only time I would advise anybody to bring in a mother-in-law is when the two of you are already grounded in your relationship. And even then, there should be a conversation about how long your mother-in-law is coming to stay. For what purpose and for how long? You understand? All those conversations need to be had before you open your room for your mother to come in. You understand? So you realize that sometimes you maybe have a very good relationship with your mother-in-law. The day your mother-in-law moves in with you, that relationship can turn sour. So for certain things, it's better you deal with them from afar. On a nice Sunday, you go and visit your mother-in-law. Oh, ma. You do the niceties, everything. You give her all the respect. You truly love her from your heart. Express it once a week, once a month. It's okay. That's why I have a problem with women who, when they are dating a man, every day they pick up a phone and, oh, ma, I was just calling to check up on you. No, you don't do things like that. You see, so for me, I would say that, look, I'm surprised you didn't see something like this happening. As for the language that they are speaking, that one is very difficult because sometimes when you have a language that you speak with somebody and that's what you are fluent in, you realize that even among people, it gets very difficult. Sometimes, without even meaning anything bad, you start the language and then you quickly have to remind yourself that, hey, this person is here, so let's switch to, let's say, English so we can all understand. But my biggest problem here is your wife, not even your mother-in-law. It's your wife who is allowing all of this to happen. Your wife needs to decide whether the relationship with you, the marriage is important to her, or her relationship with her mother is what is most important. She's pushing you to kind of like try and make a decision. But like Tina said, if I were him, it's two things. I'll call my wife one evening and say, look, we need to have a conversation. These are the things that are worrying me. And they may seem petty, but they are affecting our relationship. And they are affecting our marriage. Then you find out from her what her plans are, what her intentions are when it comes to your marriage. Is it a marriage where she wants to grow with you, learn with you, be one of the same, you like two different people, but be one, to take decisions as a couple, to make steps as a couple. You understand? And you yourself, now that you've seen that this is what the mother-in-law is doing, you also need to be proactive with the taking care of your child so that your mother-in-law's need in the house is reduced. Right. So the day that you tell your wife that, look, I think that we've already outdone our mother-in-law, we can actually take care of our child ourselves. You actually have something to stand on because you can put the child to bed, you can feed the child, you can bond with your own child. So you don't need the mother-in-law really to do all of those things. And the good thing about Abroche is that there are certified places where as and when you need to do something or maybe go somewhere, you can actually take your ward there and leave them for like a couple of hours for them to take care of them of the baby. You pay, and then the two of you, if you have to go out, maybe one night out, you can go and come back after a certain number of hours, come and pick your child and then go back to your house. It's structured like that. And these are homes that are monitored by the system to make sure that they are not maltreating your children. Unlike Africa, where you can't have that, Right. It has to be somebody's living with you. Either you have to pay, somebody you have to monitor. No.
Okay.
So if you're living outside, I'm sure that opportunity also exists. So my take is that, look, start strategizing on how to get your mother-in-law out of the house and start communicating with your wife. Communication is the key to a lot of things.
Right.
She may not want to listen, but I'm sure that if you manage to get her once a while when her mother is not around, you might make a little bit of headway, small.
Okay.
So come clean with her. Tell her exactly what you are going through. Tell her exactly how you are feeling. And then show what you can also do by partaking in the upkeep of the baby. Okay. So that we don't really need the mother-in-law to help support your wife.
All right, let me bring in
what I think.
Olivia. You have the final word on this. What are your thoughts?
Okay. So, let's face it, mother-in-laws are just a nightmare. I mean, they're control freaks. They like to take control constantly, and they're constantly in your face. They feel like every decision they make is the best for their children. So I mean, that's how they are. I mean, you either inherit them just the way they are, or Charlie, you stay away completely so you can have your sanity. But I feel like in the beginning of the relationship, you couldn't believe the fact that this girl had actually agreed that she loved you. So it was like too good to be true. She's abroad, and everything is cool. She seems pretty cool. I don't know what the relationship was like before she traveled and came back and all of that. But in the beginning, had you stood your ground, things would have been much easier. That's why I always advise that when you're in a relationship, right, especially in the beginning stages, you can't pretend for too long. It's either you like things the way they are or you don't. If you don't communicate, your partner will constantly think that you're cool and you're okay. And now that you're there, I'm probably thinking, I could be wrong, that maybe, I don't know, it's your wife who is the breadwinner, and you're probably now trying to find your feet, and then your mother-in-law is now in the picture and she's helping out. I feel like the girl is really calling a lot of shots here. So over the years, it's not like your say has really mattered, because her mother actually advised you to bathe with all sorts of concoctions, and because you thought, for peace sake, you ended up bathing with them. So your word hasn't really held a lot of, grounds, like over the entire period of relationship, over the entire period. So that's why things are the way they are. So expect a lot of, a lot of push and pull, because now you want your voice to be heard. And it's all about using wisdom and using tact. This girl already has a relationship with her mother. As far as she's concerned, her mother is the go. Her mother can never be wrong. Okay. So to the extent that she doesn't even, she decides when to talk to you. And it's not right, especially for a young relationship, a young couple growing together and stuff. So just know that moving on, you'll have to start making your voice become heard, and take charge of your home. Help out, do the things that you need to do to help out, so that you take charge. And then when a time will come, yes, she'll leave, because the child will not be a child forever. But either that you hold yourself and then find your wife, communicate to her, tell her that this is what you feel and you want her to hear you out. If she doesn't hear you out, this is the part whereby I believe in post-marriage counseling. I don't know what the situation is like out there for you, but somebody to actually get her listening ear.
Right.
To get her to understand that you want to enjoy your marriage together. Okay. So in a nutshell, Charlie, let your voice be heard and take it one day at a time. But the child will definitely grow. Right. So you'll have your marriage back. But the earlier, the better. The earlier you man up.
Super stuff. Thank you very much, Olivia. And of course, Rosina as well. Tina, of course, for joining us, ladies. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the show. Time went by really fast. But guys, remember, you can send your questions ahead of time to jessica@cityfmonline.com, or look for Sister Live on Facebook. You'll find our logo as our DP. Like the page, join the interactions that happen on there. Really exciting stuff going on the page, I tell you. Just go and have a peek and come back and tell us what you think. You can send us a DM, actually, on Facebook as well. We read those messages there. But yeah, every Friday night at 9 p.m. on City TV, we come your way. And on Thursday nights at 7, we are on radio. My name is Jessica. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourself. Until next time.